All right, everybody, welcome back for our final session of this conference. You know, this year at the festival, the stars aligned to bring us new films by both these filmmakers, Werner Herzog and Errol Morris. And any other year, it would be a celebration of the festival if we had a film by just one of these filmmakers. And to have two of them is an embarrassment of riches. We wanted to make the most of it by bringing together...
Could it just be an embarrassment?
Well, we'll see at the end of the hour. Errol's film Tabloid had its premiere last night. It was the very first film to be screened here at Bell Lightbox in Theater 2, and we're very pleased for it. Werner's film Cave of Forgotten Dreams has its world premiere. The first audience ever will see it tonight at 9:45. It'll be the first 3D film ever screened at Bell Lightbox. Bell Lightbox, I'll remind you, just opened its doors yesterday. So we're just happy that the lights are on, that your seats are working, and we're glad to see you all here. Errol and Werner, you two have a long friendship, a long history. Shoes have been eaten over your friendship.
Well, Errol somehow wants me to eat my own foot next time. It's still open, apparently.
I've tried to explain to people that the bet has been misconstrued. The bet was actually that Werner would eat his foot. And I'm still waiting for the bet to be fulfilled. He doesn't really have to do it, though.
I'll try my best. All right.
I know, Werner, you've seen Errol's new film, I believe, but
Yes.
Errol has not seen your new film.
Well, he didn't have a chance because the film was finished yesterday. But
I explained to Werner that well, of course, I wanted to see the new film very much. But I have seen, I think, roughly 30 other films that Werner has made. And to make up for any deficiency that I might have, and I have so many deficiencies, I did get another Werner Herzog film over the weekend and watched it, a film that I hadn't seen before, Geschwaldo. And we were talking about it just briefly in the green room before coming out here.
Death for Five Voices.
Death for Five Voices, excuse me.
Yeah, no, it has Gesualdo Death for Five Voices.
And we could certainly talk about that film because I found it, like everything that Werner has done, immensely interesting.
What's fascinating about your friendship, I think, is that your films are so different in their style and temperament. I'd love to hear what each of you admires about each other's work.
Well, what is obvious in all Errol's films, the boldness of vision, the boldness of design, the boldness of a voice that doesn't care what the chorus has to say about it, and there's a relentless pursuit of something which is intelligent and is great storytelling. So it can't get any better. And when you see Tabloid, it is a film that has great depth and great beauty and deep paranoia, craziness in it. So it's the best of all worlds when you see the film, and it somehow, of course, it's a deeply humanistic film because it points to our very human condition, and of course, in a very condensed form, Errol can capture essences of what constitutes us as human beings. So if you want to know about late 20th century and beginning of 21st century, you shouldn't read the State of the Union address. So for 2010, you better watch Tabloid, and you would know where, let's say, looking back at our civilization from 400 years advanced in time, and you are looking back at the beginning of the 21st century, you better forget about the State of the Union address. So who cares what the State of the Union address was in 1978 or so? It's very ephemeral. What happens here is you have something that stands the test of time, and you can tell immediately. You know it instantly after 5 minutes watching the film, you know. And there are incredible moments in it, and the most incredible moment is the camera actually is not done by Errol's cinematographer. It's actually done by, operated by a subject of his film, Joyce. And she films her own backyard. She's completely reclusive, not into love affairs anymore, and she pans to and fro in the backyard, and her voice says, "Nothing is happening." Or is it correct? Do I quote correctly?
Nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening, but she does it a couple of times, 3, 4 times, or
Yes.
4 times. I was sure that Errol did it himself, that he accumulated, that he took the shot, made her talk this text over it, and repeated the shot, but he swears to God that it was Joyce who did it, and all of a sudden you have a totally and profound feeling of emptiness that I've never seen in a movie.
That's what I go for.
Yeah, it's almost the quintessential Buddhist concept of nothingness.
People complained about this scene. They said, is it really necessary to repeat it 4 times?
She did it.
And the only thing I regret is that she didn't do more of it, say 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11 times.
And it is a backyard that really has nothing and no other person, or I think a dog sometimes shows up in
Yes.
the frame.
The barking Benfield hound.
Yeah. And nothing... it's really nothing happening, and it's all of a sudden you see something that you have never expected to see in a movie, and here it is. And it's very bold to, number one, to see the caliber of this shot, just to see it, and then to incorporate it into the film in full length. And I've done similar things once in Grizzly Man, where Timothy Treadwell reenacts Starsky and Hutch, and sets up the camera, and he says, I'm Starsky and Hutch now, and he rushes off into the distance, and the image remains empty, and there's only wind in some tall grass for 15 seconds.
The best shot in Grizzly Man.
Yes, thank you. I
Yes.
think it is, yes.
The very best.
Yes, and I didn't do it, but Timothy Treadwell did it.
Deeply mysterious, disturbing, problematic. I love
This is the secrets for all the filmmakers in the audience. The best shots in your film are not taken by you guys.
Yes, true, but you have to find them, because as I edited the film very quickly in 9 days or so, and Treadwell had left about 100.
I usually take 900 days, but that's another matter.
Yeah, we are arguing over this. Yeah, he should work faster. But anyway, what was astonishing, that 100 hours of Treadwell, but it takes you, I would say, 12 days or a fortnight to watch it all. So I didn't have the time for that, and I had 4 or 5 very intelligent young people sitting at it, and each one of them had to sift through 15 or 20 hours. And gave me a condensation. I was instructing them particularly about this or that, what I was looking for. And somehow, in a bin for garbage or so, as a young man had it just opened, I saw this shot, and it was already discarded. And I said, no, there's something very specific about it. We must have it. Can you bring it back into the file, and I'm going to do something with it. You have to see it, and you have to incorporate it in the right way. So, and it doesn't really matter whether he shot it himself or his leading character. In Grizzly Man, my leading character actually did it.
And it really is. I should point out, this may be known, but correct me if I'm wrong, you now have a film school.
The Rogue Film School, yes.
The Rogue Film School. Well, I consider myself perhaps one of the first students of the Rogue Film School, because it was Werner and seeing Werner's films years and years ago at the Pacific Film Archive that made me want to make films myself. I have him to blame. There's a quote by Marquez that I very much like. I think I've mentioned this to you before. On reading Kafka's Metamorphosis, he read it and he said to himself, I didn't know you were allowed to do that. And that was certainly my feeling on seeing, I remember this quite well, seeing Fata Morgana at the Pacific Film Archive. I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And it is a profoundly different idea about documentary. And one of the endlessly fascinating things about Werner's work, I hate to be so complimentary, I can't help myself, is that he is a neo-realist as such. He is a person who operates very often, even in his dramatic films, with real people. And there's this hybrid world between fiction and nonfiction, which I find to be perhaps the most interesting place in film to inhabit. And from these first films, it gave me a different idea of what was possible in filmmaking.